Hi, and thanks for joining us for another edition of CoshoctonCountySports.com's Sports Zone Sports Show. I'm your host, Dan Wolfgang, and this week we're brought to you by the Army National Guard. We'll be talking to a recruiter coming up momentarily, as well as two of our area sports coaches. But before we do that, we want to remind you what happened in the week that was in Coshocton County sports. We highlight area high school football as we do every week. This week, the Coshocton Redskins improved to a record of 4-1, 1-1 in the ECOL with a 59-8 win over Meadowbrook. The Ridgewood Generals remain undefeated in the IVC, 5-0 on the year now, 2-0 in conference with a 62-17 win over Sandy Valley. And the tough times continue for Chad Massey and the Riverview Black Bears out in Warsaw. Riverview fell 45-0 to Dover. They will have New Philadelphia coming up next week. Stay tuned. The Sports Zone Sports Show on the way right here on CoshoctonCountySports.com. Hi, and welcome back to CoshoctonCountySports.com's Sports Zone Sports Show. We are joined by the cross-country coach for the Ridgewood Generals, Julie Feldner. Took us a few times to get that right, I had to say, but she's a good sport, and we welcome her here to the show. Okay, Coach, we're getting down to the point where the season is coming to a close. Why don't you go ahead and recap how things have gone for you guys out in West Lafayette up to this point in the season?
Our first meet, we went to Claymont for the Claymont Early Bird Invitational, where we finished 8th and also 15th. We split our squad up and had an A-B team. We finished behind Garaway there, so it was a little bit of a disappointment. We then went on to the Malone Invitational, where we finished 3rd, so that was pretty good for us to finish that high at such a big meet. And then we went on to Watkins, and then this last week at Galleon. And we had some pretty good finishes there.
So it seems that you guys are participating in some big-time meets. I know we've got Pickerington coming up next weekend. What does that do for your team to get that sort of exposure and go up against some big-time schools?
Well, right now we're just looking at meeting our contenders for districts and seeing how we can stand up against them and what's going to be down the road for us. Our big thing is not having our kids peak too early. We try to keep them, at a steady pace. Their time's coming down in the next few weeks when the season's really getting to its best for us.
How do you think you guys are stacking up? I know the districts are coming up in a couple of weeks. How are you guys stacking up against the competition you're going to see in that tournament?
In districts, our main competition is going to be from St. John Central, Barnesville, Caldwell. We're hoping to finish there, of course, in the top 4 to be able to move on to regionals. Mm-hmm. And Garaway, we've lost to them once and then come back and beat them. So our IVC meet on the 17th is going to be huge for us. We're going to need to finish in front of Garaway to be able to make it out of district.
Why don't you go ahead and run down, I think I actually play Ultimate Frisbee with one of your runners. The name escapes me right now, but why don't you just go ahead and run down a list or even like the top 2 or 3 people on your team that are the top performers and that you expect to lead this team, hopefully, as far as they can go.
Okay. We have a senior, Brad Olinger. This is his last year with us, so we're going to miss having him on the team. And then our juniors have really stepped up this year. Ryan Cunningham, Marley Cumbie, Travis Slayball, Luke Feldner. We have one of our sophomores, Nigel Hockenbrawl, steps in there. 2 of our freshmen this year have really, for having a very young team, they've really stepped up, Nathan Levengood and Zach Kazee, and come right in there for us. And we've had some illnesses. We've had some stitches this year that some kids are trying to get over before the best of our season comes on. So we're getting them healthy, hopefully, and get our lineup a little bit more consistent here in the next few weeks.
Well, that's the hope of every coach, is to keep your team healthy. And let's go and talk a little bit about the senior Olinger. That's obviously a name that everyone in this area knows. The family has just been top performers when it comes to running. Are you really going to miss him when he graduates? How much of a force and how much of a leader is he on this general squad?
Well, Brad is trying to qualify for his 4th year for the state meet, and he's been our top runner for the last 3 years and now this year. And, so it's going to be a loss to our team. However, with our team having such depth, we have 13 members this year. So we're going to have some kids to be able to hopefully step up and, help fill that spot, fill that void for us.
All right, again, we're here with Ridgewood cross-country coach Julie Feldner, and I put the extra emphasis on there to make sure that I get it right. Coach, cross-country seems to be one of those sports where, in a sense, kind of like golf, it's kind of tough to coach, I think, because you're constantly weighing what's good for the team and what's good for the individual. Do you struggle with that sometimes, and how do you focus on an individual in a sport where team is so important?
Well, there are days that it does make it tough at practice. You have to break it down to the level of experience of the runner, also their abilities. So you do end up having 4 or 5 different workouts going on at a time, and you're trying to set different mileages for different kids, and it does make it tough, but it's I guess it's one of the fun things of my job.
Never gets
I get
boring.
to go. That's right. I get to go out and just keep guessing at what's going to be best for each and every one of them.
All righty. Well, we expect great things. The expectations for the team coming into the season, make it past districts, and for Olinger, obviously make it to state for the 4th straight year?
Yes. Our ultimate goal would be to make it as a team to state. I think that our big focus right now is 3 weeks from now is on the IVC meet and hopefully bringing home an IVC championship, which is absolutely possible for us. It's going to be tough getting by Gareway and Sandy Valley, but I believe this is our year to be able to do it. So as long as that day is a good day for all of us, that will hopefully happen.
Well, the Generals appear up to the challenge. We'll have full coverage of the IVC meet as well as the district meets and however far the Ridgewood Generals go are available for you on CoshoctonCountySports.com. Ridgewood cross-country coach Julie Feldner, thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
When we come back, we'll be joined by Riverview golf coach Brad Baker right here on the CoshoctonCountySports.com Sports Zone Sports Show.